The words hit me like a physical blow, sharper than any arthritis pain, colder than a Pennsylvania winter. You just eat but don't help. Samantha, my son's wife, spat them out with such venom, her eyes burning through me. My own son, Jason, sat there, silent, his gaze fixed on his plate, as if it held all the answers to the universe, utterly oblivious to the shattered pieces of his mother's heart. I felt a tremor run through me, not from my aching joints, but from the raw wound those words inflicted. I looked at my hands, gnarled by years of work, of love, of raising him, and wondered how they could feel so useless now. It wasn't just a comment. It was a verdict, delivered by the very people I had poured my entire life into. My name is Evelyn. I'm 72 years old, and for the past 5 years I've been living with my son Jason and his wife Samantha in what used to be my home, a house my late husband Arthur and I built with our own hands, brick by painstaking brick, laughter echoing through every room. After Arthur passed, the silence in that big house became too much. Jason insisted I move in with them, for company, he said, and to help out. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. I truly did. I cooked. I cleaned what I could with my bad back and stiff knees. I folded laundry. I watched their kids when they needed a sitter. I tried so hard to be useful, to be a contributing member of their bustling household, even as my body betrayed me more and more each day. But it was never enough, was it? Not for Samantha. And apparently not for Jason either. They saw a burden, not a blessing. They saw a mouth to feed, not a mother who had sacrificed everything. The comments started subtly. A sigh when I took a little longer to get up from the couch. A muttered complaint about a dish not being exactly right. Samantha's eyes following me as I moved, or rather shuffled, around the kitchen. I'd try to laugh it off, make a joke. Anything to ease the tension that began to cling to the air like a damp fog. But it grew thicker with each passing week. There were days I'd find myself sitting alone in my room, staring out the window, tears welling up as I remembered Arthur. He always made me feel seen, cherished, useful. Now, I was a ghost in my own home, fading into the background, my presence tolerated rather than celebrated. One evening, I overheard Samantha on the phone, complaining to a friend about the dead weight around here. My heart sank to my stomach. Jason was in the room, supposedly watching TV, but I knew he heard it. He said nothing. He always said nothing. That silence, that indifference, cut deeper than any barbed words. Then came the weekend of the family reunion, or rather, the weekend I wasn't invited to. Jason and Samantha packed their bags. The kids were excited and they were off to the mountains. No, Mom, wanna come? No, Grandma, we'll miss you. Just a casual, we're heading out. See you Sunday night. I watched them drive away, the car loaded with luggage, laughter spilling from the open windows. The house was eerily silent. That's when the realization hit me, stark and brutal. I was truly alone. Not just physically, but emotionally. I was a fixture, a piece of furniture, not a person. My purpose, my very being, had been stripped away. In that moment of profound loneliness, something snapped inside me. The years of quiet suffering, the swallowed pride, the desperate need for acceptance, it all dissolved into a quiet, simmering resolve. I walked to the kitchen, took out the house key I'd always kept, the one Arthur had given me when we first moved in. and placed it on the counter. Then I picked up one small suitcase, a photo of Arthur and me on our wedding day, and my worn Bible. With a heavy sigh that was also a breath of liberation, I walked out of that house, leaving everything else behind. I didn't look back. I found a small, clean, but incredibly modest nursing home on the outskirts of town. It wasn't the Ritz, but it was quiet, and for the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of peace. The nurses were kind, the food was simple, and no one looked at me with disdain. Here I could think, I could truly think, without the constant weight of judgment. I wondered if I'd made a mistake, leaving like that. Should I have confronted them? Demanded respect? But what good would it have done? They had already shown me where I stood in their lives. Then, a memory surfaced. A conversation with Arthur so many years ago. He was always so meticulous about finances, so protective of me. He'd talked about making sure I was always cared for, even if something happened to him. A spark of an idea ignited. I remembered James, Arthur's old friend and lawyer. With trembling hands, I called him. What he told me next shook me to my core, but in the best possible way. Arthur, my thoughtful, loving Arthur, had quietly transferred the full ownership of our home, the home Jason and Samantha were living in, to my name back in 1994. It had been mine all along. All those years, I had been the true owner, yet I lived like a guest, a tolerated burden. The irony was bitter, but the power of that truth was intoxicating. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I decided what I had to do. I contacted a real estate agent through James, and quietly, without a word to Jason or Samantha, I sold the house. I wanted them to learn it the way I had learned their true feelings, not from me directly, but from an undeniable truth. When Jason finally called, frantic and bewildered, I simply told him. I took back what was mine. It was never about love, Jason, or even forgiveness. It was about respect, something you and Samantha forgot I deserved. I used the money, every single cent, not for myself, but to buy and renovate an old, beautiful building. I named it Haven House. It's a place for women like me, who have felt discarded, unappreciated, or unwelcome in their own families. Here, we find peace, companionship, and the dignity we deserve. Helen, who was also pushed out by her daughter-in-law, was our first resident. We share stories. We laugh. We support each other. Haven House is my legacy, proof that I was never just someone who eats but doesn't help. I am a woman who sacrificed, who endured, and who, against all odds, rebuilt. This is my true story, my raw truth. It's a testament to finding your voice even when it feels like no one is listening, and to building a new purpose from the ashes of old hurts. Have you ever felt unseen or unappreciated by those closest to you? How did you find your strength? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you connect with stories of resilience, love, and quiet defiance, please subscribe to Grandparents' Story for more narratives that remind us we're never truly alone.